Hey, this is episode number 6 of The Everyday Entrepreneur. We're on to 2 hands now. Went from 5 to 6, 2 hands. So episode number 6 with a really interesting interview, I'm sure, with Mr. Dale Gruber Sr. about his business, and his pathway to business, and I'm sure get a lot of really good perspective on this. So enjoy this episode. All right, so we're here, Mr. Dale Gruber Sr., because you have a junior.
Yep.
And who works for you as well.
He's a sales rep for us, yep.
Yep. So now we know each other. We're family, basically.
Yeah, well, we're related, yeah.
Yeah. So my oldest brother, he married your daughter.
Yep.
5 years ago, probably more than that, 6, 7 years ago.
Yep.
And so we're family. But we've also known each other for, you've probably known my parents since before I was born. Family friends.
30 years, yep.
Yep, and you're real close with my aunt and uncle and other family friends. Grew up in the same church together and all that stuff. And yeah, so we've known each other for basically as long as I can remember. Yeah, but so let's talk a little bit about what is your business, which is very unique. It's interesting to me because it's kind of niche. Mm-hmm. But so tell us about your business and what it is.
Well, Gruber Pallets Incorporated is a pallet recycling business. We recycle wooden pallets, and we make new pallets. We make a combination of new and used pallets. We do broker some plastic pallets, so we're a distributor of plastic pallets. Basically, yeah, we recycle old pallets from customers, and then we bring them back up to spec, and then we sell them either back to the customer or we find another customer to sell them to.
Yeah. So you say recycle. So you're not necessarily manufacturing them from scratch?
No, we do that too. We build them new. We manufacture them new. Actually, we just purchased a pallet making machine that should be coming here in the month of December. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. So this is why it's so interesting to me, because pallets is something that I think for most people like me, you don't really think of. Probably everything that's in this room, everything that I have on me came on a pallet.
Our slogan is for the NWPCA, which is the National Wooden Pallet Container Association, is the world moves by pallets.
Yeah.
And so they really do. I mean, a lot of stuff is moved by pallets.
Yeah. So it's really interesting that everything kind of is moved by pallets, but it's not something that you think of, oh yeah, someone has a business that does that. Or if you thought about it, you would think, of course, someone does, but it's not something that's like, it's kind of very niche.
Well, there's a lot of pallet companies throughout the United States, and there's a lot of them in the Twin Cities. And it's not so much a niche; it's a niche in the industry of what we do. Different. Every pallet company has a little different niche of what they do. It's similar in a lot of areas, but you do have your own little niche of what you do. And whether you're focusing on big accounts or you're focusing maybe on the mid-range accounts, and some only build new pallets. Some don't even do the recycled. Yeah. We're kind of do both. Yeah. So yeah.
So when you recycle, are you buying someone's used pallet? That could be broken or in good shape, whatever, and then repurpose it for resell it?
We resell it. So we'll buy from company A, we'll bring them in, we'll pay a certain amount per pallet, we'll bring them back and bring them to the spec they need to be, and then we'll sell them to company B. Or we'll get them from a customer and we'll fix them and then send them back to the same company, but bring them back up to the spec that they need to be like they were new.
Yeah. Okay, so you're taking parts off of it, replacing whatever needs.
We have machines that dismantle the pallets into parts, and then we'll recut them, or that wood, and it's recycled wood, and then from that wood too, we'll build a brand new pallet, a different spec, out of recycled lumber.
Okay, so it's very, because I know. Obviously, like I said, I've known you for a long time, and I know Gruber Pallets, so it's kind of obvious the business that you're in, but I didn't really know exactly what you did, if you manufactured them, because I knew so you buy pallets, right?
Yep.
Like used pallets and stuff, and then would do whatever you do with them.
Yep.
With pallets, there's got to be, like when you're selling to somebody, I'm sure there's some kind of uniformity to, because it's different sizes, there's all kinds of different things. So when you're selling it to company A, like, are you selling them all the exact same type pallet?
Yeah, so there's the standard pallet that is in the United States is a 48 by 40, four-way entry, and that was started back in World War II, and that's how that pallet started to move for the military.
Yeah.
And they needed a standardization. So they kept that standard at a 4840. They call them a GMA, Grocery Manufacturing Association, a GMA, but it's a 4840 footprint with notches on in the stringers, so you can enter it four ways. There's different grades of four ways, so when we bring them in and buy them, then we run them through the sorting machine, and then they grade the pallet, whether it's a grade A, B, or C, or a 1, 2, and 3, whatever, however you determine that you're going to grade it. So there's different grades of pallets.
Okay.
But there are many different size pallets. But the standard pallet that you'll go into a grocery store or Walmart or Home Depot, more than likely you're going to see probably 80% of those pallets will be a 4840 footprint.
Okay. Now, who are some of the people you're selling them to? To grocery stores, or more like the manufacturers?
No,
probably?
manufacturing, like we do stuff for Anderson Window. We sell to. We get pallets from Anderson Window. We do 3M. Those we fix theirs. They're on a 48-42 footprint, and so that pallet comes in. We'll repair it and send it back to 3M. But those are a couple of big accounts that we deal with.
Okay, interesting. So let's talk then about how you got into this business, because it is such a unique business. And I think that I've heard you say before, this is probably a long time ago I heard you say this, but I remember it, that you were kind of more interested in having your own business than a particular industry. Is that correct?
Yeah, I bought a semi when I was, I think, 21, 22 years old, and so I was in the trucking industry for a while, and trucking over the road and that, and been around semis ever since I've been 13 years old. So I was in trucking, and then I started a nursery business.
So when you had the truck though, that was your own truck. You bought it yourself.
I bought it.
So you were independent driver.
Yeah, and basically, I just always wanted to be self-employed. I don't know why that was. It was just always, maybe the people that taught me business, they were self-employed. So I always thought I wanted to do something where I could make as much money as I wanted to, and then have no caps on what I was capable of doing.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is. So I tried a few different businesses. I stumbled into the pallet business through the trucking industry, and I did work for a pallet company in town here for about 3 months, I think it was, or something like that. And then I went to work for RC Cola, and basically I was a sales rep for them, and basically I wanted to move out in the country. And so I remembered the pallets, the trucking, all the stuff, and so I started doing it on the side and selling it to a trucking company, a bigger trucking company. And that, I did a good job there doing it part-time, and then all of a sudden they told another company, and all of a sudden it just was word of mouth, and so I kept doing it, and it kind of fell into it.
So you were taking some of the pallets and reselling them, just
fixing them up and selling them, and started out in my garage and with a hammer and nail and just kind of fixing them, and I'd get enough into it, I'd go rent a truck and go deliver them to, actually it was Overnight Express was the trucking company. I don't even know if they're in business anymore, but that was 32 years ago, 4 years ago.
So how long were you truck driving?
I was driving trucks since I was 18 all the way to 20, I must have been 28, 10 years.
Okay.
But I was around trucks since I've been 13.
Yeah. And so you made a comment about people that taught you business. Who was that, or how did they teach? What did they teach you?
Well,
in what setting?
it was, so when my dad passed away when I was 8, my mom was dating this gentleman, and this guy and his brothers had a trucking company, and over in St. Paul Park and Newport area, and that's how I got involved with trucking at 13 or 12, however it was. So they started to teach me about the trucking industry, how to, small stuff. But as I got older, then they started teaching me about the trucking rates and all the different things about business end of it. And that was exciting to me. It was like, wow, you know, and so that was, the Quaid brothers is who taught me. Some of them are passed away now, but there's a couple of them that are still alive. Or, you know, but those brothers are what taught me business, and it was fascinating.
So you started in your garage. How long was it from starting that to where you were doing it full time?
I started, I believe it was 86 I was doing it, and then I had my cousin, Charlie Cool, who came, and I was still working at RC Cola, and then he came and moved in with me out in the country. I got out in the country, and then I think it was, if I remember right, it was 1987 that he came aboard, and then I would go to work and kind of work at RC, and he would fix the pallets and stuff, and so that, I think it was in '87 is when I came under. So I was about a year of doing it, kind of part time.
Yeah.
You know.
So that's really interesting because I think a lot of people want to jump right into doing it full time themselves, but you kind of strategically stayed at your job, which probably paid the bills and maybe even financed some of the company.
It did finance a lot of it.
Yeah. So, but you still brought somebody else on to do the work and keep that going because you couldn't do both at the same time, right?
No, and then and then I took and I think after Charlie came aboard, then I hired another person. We were still out of the garage where it was at, and I think we had probably maybe 3 or 4 employees at that time. And I probably then stayed with RC another couple more years. I worked for them for 4.5 years, and so then I put my notice in and I came full time. I think in October of '88, maybe it was '89, whenever my daughter was born.
Yeah.
I put my notice in on a Friday, 2 weeks, and on that Friday, my last day, my daughter was born on that Monday, so I couldn't even work my first full-time day. I had to be in the hospital.
You already
for my
taken
daughter.
vacation.
I took a vacation day.
So it's like your sons.
Yeah, took a vacation day. But yeah, and never looked back after. So
Yeah. And then now, how many employees do you have here?
I believe we have about 40 employees right now.
Yeah.
And a couple of sales reps. Charlie, who was my first employee, is still working with us.
Yeah.
And then my son Dale Jr. is a sales rep, and then my other son Luke is the general manager. And yeah, so they're kind of running more of the business.
And you own several trucks then?
We have, well, we're running right now, I own 10 trucks, but we're running, I think we only got 5 or 6 drivers right now. Got a few spares in that, but, and then I run 130, I think it's 130 semi-trailers.
Wow.
That we have scattered, dropped all around the, about 100, we go as far as Forest City, Iowa for 3 of them.
Okay.
So that's about 125 miles maybe from, so we're about 125, 150 mile radius of the Twin Cities.
Yeah. Okay. So, in one side note, I didn't know you worked for RC Cola, because I remember back in the day, you would preach RC Cola.
Yeah.
You would give us, as kids, like taste tests. You'd give your Coke, what you're drinking Coca-Cola today.
Because you
So
can't
really
go get RC unless you go to Cub Foods.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's hard to get.
Oh, so is RC a regional brand?
No, it's a national brand.
Okay.
It's All American Bottling Company owns it. And still,
Yeah, you would set it up, you know, Coke, Pepsi, and RC Cola, but they'd be disguised or in like cups or whatever, and we'd have to taste test and see we'd have to say which one is better.
It's still the best tasting cola that's there.
So I didn't know though you were
RC Cola.
I didn't know you were an employee.
Yeah, I was a sales
so
rep.
you were. I thought you were just an evangelist for them, but really you were at one point an employee, and you were indoctrinated into it.
And I still believe in RC Cola. I still have friends in there, and I still think it's the best tasting cola there is.
All right. Well, I'm glad you stick to, and that's something that's probably very core to you. You stick to.
When you got
your
the best,
beliefs
why would you go to anything else?
That's good. That's funny. All right. So let's talk about entrepreneurship in general. So you said you kind of always wanted to be self-employed. What was it about being self-employed that what is the things about it? Is it the time? Is it you mentioned income, making an
I think a lot of it, what I thought at that time when I was, is that if I didn't want to work or I wanted to do something, I could take and do it, and I didn't have to answer to anybody. I could just say, well, you know what, I'm going to take these 2 days off or whatever. And it was really, to be honest with you, I have a high school diploma. I don't have a college education or anything. And I didn't want something to stop me. If I went to work for somebody, in my mind, I would be limited on what I could make. And for what I wanted to do in life and having kids and stuff, I knew I had to figure out how to make some money to support that. And so it was to have no limits on what I could make, so I controlled what I made. And it was so that I could take time off if I wanted to. Now I realize that I didn't take off as much time as I wanted to when I was younger, because you're working very, very hard to get what you're doing, but it's paid off in the long run now.
Yeah.
And so and there's just something about, I don't know if in all honesty, if it's just bullheadedness on my part, or if it's, I just never liked people telling me what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Well, those are, I would think, pretty common reasons, but now you did spend a lot of time, of course, and energy to grow the business. Like you said, you didn't take as much time off and all that, but now you're able to have a business which your family works within that business. You're able to spend time with that, but then also take now time to enjoy it, where they're able to run some of it a little bit.
Yep.
You can't probably step away for too long.
No, that's wrong. I think, to be honest with you, my son Luke is a whole lot smarter than I am, and I say that sincerely. He has a very good business mind, a lot better than I ever had. I think for me, an entrepreneur, a lot of times are doers. They're shakers. They make things happen. They can see things. I'm not a very structured person. I use a lot of my gut, common sense in my mind, and I look at things and I can see this is the way you got to go. My son is more structured and more, in all honesty, a lot smarter even than I am as business-wise goes.
Yeah.
He's a very smart man. So he's taken the business a lot farther than I ever will, to be honest with you. I don't know if he could get to where I was at. I think it takes a lot of entrepreneurs to start a business. There's a difference between starting a business and growing it than taking a business over and running it.
Yeah.
There's two differences into it. And there are two different types of people that can do that. I don't know if my son could have done what I did to get it to where it's at.
Yeah.
But he'll take it a whole lot farther.
And you couldn't do what he can do.
And I can't do what he's doing. He's way more structured, and it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm more of a freewheeling, and I look at things and then go with it.
Yeah.
And that's good to a certain point, but that's not good if you want to scale a business.
Yeah.
Then you have to be a lot more structured, and I think Luke's doing a fine job.
Do you think he obviously took a different path, because he went to college and graduated college, did really well there, went to a good college, all that stuff. Do you feel like he learned a lot of the stuff he has now through that, or through you?
I think, I think around the dinner table we always were talking business. I don't think that with my wife, and so maybe some of it he picked up. He worked here all growing up, starting with washing trailers, the same way with Dale and that. So I think some of it he picked up, maybe, hopefully I would hope some of it from me, but I think a lot of it he learned from college and how business really works. I didn't have a teacher, or because I didn't have, I had these guys that helped me, but when I started this, it was a lot of trial and error. I paid for my education. I always tease people and say I paid to go to Harvard 3 times and paid cash for it. So I did pay for my education, but we're just two different types of people. He's just a lot more, he's doing a great job. I'm very proud of him, and the whole team I'm proud of. So. And
I know you like to give the boys a hard time. Everybody a hard time. You like to give everybody a hard time. But that's cool that you're saying that. And I think that from my outside perspective, it definitely seems like, which is very limited, but it seems like it's taken on different directions than probably it did before.
Yep.
With
and that has a lot to do with with Charlie and Dale and the whole team, and how Luke's leadership is taking it in a good path. It's just different than what I did, and so I'm very proud of the whole team. We wouldn't be where we're at today if it wasn't for the team and with Luke's leadership. So I'm very proud of him on that.
Cool.
But I'll still give him a hard time.
Right, of course, as you should.
You know.
What do you think it's like? So 32 years later, how do you think what would you think it would be like starting that business today versus 32 years ago?
I think it would be a lot harder to start a business today because I don't think you have the work ethic that you had back when 32 years ago. I think it was just a different. I think the culture's different. I think I think it would be very hard for people to. Not that it can't be done, but it would be a lot more work because you're only as good as the people that are behind you, and you've got to have people that will go to any length to get the job done. Yeah. And I don't know if that's so much there today, at least from my window.
Just less common, probably. Still there, of course.
It's probably there, but it's probably less common. So you have to find the right people that are there because it seems the mentality today. Not all, but it just seems like there's a limited. Their time frame. They're run by a clock. I never was run by a clock. Mm-hmm. I was run when the job's done, then I go home. Mm-hmm. And I still think that way.
Yeah.
So I never look at a clock.
Yeah.
You know. So I just think it would be harder to start a business today. Not that it can't be, but you got different challenges than you would there. You know, Charlie's old school. He's here. He's one of the first people here still in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. And he's one of the last people to leave. Same way with Louie. Mm-hmm. But they're a little bit on the older school.
Yeah, so that's good. Those are things to learn from, for sure. So. Now, today, what's your day-to-day kind of role here? What do you...
You know, my role is more strategic with Luke and trying to help systems from my standpoint of expertise of knowing the business and how can I help but yet not be in the way.
Yeah.
And take the knowledge that I know or the things that I tried that worked or didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. And say, hey, I did that. These are the problems I had. And then it's more strategic for Luke on what we're going to do with Gruber Pallets as far as building and whatever else that we're looking at. So it's not always so much the everyday stuff. It's more strategic and wherever I can help out. I mean, I don't want to not do anything. If you need to drive a semi, I'll drive a semi.
Yeah. So whatever needs to be done.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's good. But you probably, for a time frame before Luke especially, couldn't maybe necessarily do that. You were really running the business more in the day-to-day.
The day-to-day, yeah, it was a lot, yeah.
And your wife too?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, my wife's been retired and for a couple years now she's been, which is great. And you know, and she was more of the structure part of it. I was more the entrepreneur type. She was more the structure into it. I mean, it would never have gotten even to where it was at if it wasn't for my wife Diane neither, because she was the one that put these systems in.
Yeah.
I'd have the ideas, but she would follow through with it. Yeah. So that helped us to get where we're at today.
Yeah. Do you think that is your plan to retire at some point, or do you just kind of want to be around until you can't?
You know, I will retire. I'm 62 years old. I like to putz around, but I don't want to be tied where I come in here. Eventually, Luke will end up with the business. Mm-hmm. That's the goal, and you know, when that happens, I don't know. We own the 40 acres that the plant is on, and there's a 22-acre field out there that we're looking eventually to build a brand new plant. Oh. And then I'll rent out this. My daughter Hannah, Chris's
my sister-in-law.
Your sister-in-law, she does the property management of the Trinity Select part of it. So there's Trinity Select, which owns the property and the building and all that, and Gruber Pallets, and Gruber Pallets rents from Trinity Select. Yeah. So Hannah runs Trinity Select.
So she's your boss.
She's my no, she's not my boss.
I tried Hannah.
You can try with Hannah. No, Luke and Hannah are not my boss.
Yeah,
no. So she runs that part, and Luke runs the Gruber Pallet side of it. Okay. So
yeah.
Anna does a great job for it too. So
Yeah.
I'm proud of them. They got good work ethics
and you'll just kind of be around until you just don't want to anymore, or you just want to let them go with it, kind of. Is that your
eventually,
plan?
I'll probably, to be honest with you, figure out how I will sell the business to Luke that's fair to my other kids.
Yeah.
And then as I get to that point, whether we sell the remaining 22 or 20 acres, or if it's has a good income through it like it does, talk to my other kids and say, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to keep managing and get an income off of it, or do you want to,
Yeah.
Bottom line, when I'm dead and gone, they're going to get it all anyway, right? So figuring out how.
Well, I just saw an interview with Judge Judy.
Yeah.
And she makes a lot of money especially for what you do. It's, I don't know, 20, 30, 50 million dollars. It's crazy.
Yep.
But she was saying how she, with all this wealth, that she's like very much in the mindset of giving while she's with a warm hand, she called it. So she can see her kids enjoy it and all those kinds of things. And so that's an interesting perspective, because I think a lot of people think, oh, I'll just wait around.
And it isn't, and I would rather help out and do things in which I've done in each of my kids, and watch them enjoy some of the fruits that I have done. But there'll be enough there that there'll be plenty to give when I'm gone.
Right.
So,
but you're enjoying it more now too than you used to.
Yeah.
We were just talking about going on trips and really enjoying your time. And obviously Diane's retired, like you said, so she's probably
she gets to watch the grandbabies, which she loves, and I can kind of come and go as I please. I mean, so yeah, I wouldn't be able to have that freedom if it wasn't for Luke.
Yeah.
And for Hannah too, for that matter.
Yeah.
On both parts, I have a lot of trust and faith in them that what they don't know, they'll call me.
Yeah.
And if they can handle it, handle it.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. So I guess kind of maybe, I don't know if people have some questions. We'll see. But the last thing then, so if someone, what kind of advice would you give somebody that's looking to start their own business?
What I would say is really have a lot of perseverance, because I think that a lot of people get to where they're just about to that hump over it and they'll quit. And so I would encourage people to persevere, have perseverance, because many times I felt like quitting because you get defeated, but for whatever reason, and I personally I believe it was the strength of my faith that helped me to push through the hard times. Mm-hmm. And so I would encourage people to really have that perseverance to keep moving forward. And you'll have hard times. They'll always be there, but persevere through it. And then, I am a firm believer that if you watch the little things, the big things will take care of themselves. And so many times I see businesses where they don't watch the little things, and that little thing becomes a big thing. And all of a sudden you have a bunch of big things. So I would encourage people, watch the little things and the big things will take care of themselves.
So can you give an example of like a little thing, like financially, or
I just think running a business and
culture,
how just the culture of the mindset of for keeping a shop clean.
Yeah.
Just the little things into it, because you know what, the thing about it is you have one time to make a first impression.
Yeah.
And then when you own a business or you're doing something that, for an example, if you walked into a dirty house, you're going to send off an impression, whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
That, golly, they don't keep their house that clean.
Yeah.
Or you walk into a business and it's filthy. Well, that would be. I had a lady come here, and I never forgot this when I was young. She worked for 3M.
Okay.
And I never forgot this. And I was young. She came and she said to me, she says, Dale, I walked around and looked at it, but what I was really looking for was cobwebs. And he says, I didn't find any. And she says, you take care of the cobwebs, it means you're going to take care of my pallets.
Wow.
And I never forgot that.
Yeah.
And that was a little thing.
Yeah.
And it just stuck with me. So I'm a stickler on little things.
Yeah.
Because I never forgot that. That was probably the biggest teach. She taught me a lot by just that one little thing.
Yeah.
That she wasn't looking at the pallets. She was looking at how clean and where the cobwebs were.
That's powerful.
That was
How
powerful.
long ago was that? Do you
Probably
remember?
20 years ago.
Yeah, and you've had a relationship with them.
And we're
they're a
still doing it for
Fortune
them.
100 company or something.
And you never forget those things. And that was a teaching moment to me.
Yeah.
So I drill all the time. Take care of the little things. Take care of the little things. You got one time to impress somebody. You know, that's why the trucks, I want the trucks washed. I want them clean. They don't have to be brand new.
Yeah.
But they need to look good.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. That's good advice.
So
that's a good lesson, too. Good
Yeah.
story. Great story.
Good.
Cool. Well, I want to see if there's any questions.
Okay.
Hopefully I can reach these phones here. And, oops. Oh, that never started, so there's no questions there. All right. And got a lot of people waving. RC Cola Evangelist, someone said.
Drink
That's
RC
good.
Cola.
That's good. RC Cola. That's good. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching. This is episode number 6. We'll probably give a link to Gruber Pallets if you're in the pallet market.
Yep.
And how would someone connect with it? They could buy pallets here if they needed them?
Yeah, just
or
call.
If they wanted to sell them, they had some, they could
Yep.
sell them to you?
Gruber Pallets on our website. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll list that on the link and everything. So
Perfect.
thanks for enjoying. Thanks for being here. Let
Thank
me
you,
come
Michael.
here, I guess.
Well,
So
thank you very
appreciate it.
much.
All right, episode 6 in the books. We'll see you next time.
Bye now.